The ayes have it. Are there any other matters, councilors, before I bring up Patriot Power to talk about our canals?
Yes, rule.
Councilor Del Rosario. If there's no objection, we're going to take document 1823, disposition of real property on Alamo Street. Is there any opposition to this? Seeing no opposition, I'll look for the chair of the Housing Committee to give the committee report on document 1823. Mr. Chairman.
Sure. The Housing Committee met, discussed item 1823, the disposition of the real estate property located on 3335 Alma Street, map 149, lot 26. It was discussed and sent it to the full council with a favorable recommendation for the disposition using the yard sale program, and I would like to make that as a form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made by the chair, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. If there's no objection, I'll take 8923 out of order. Is there any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman.
The Housing Committee discussed item 8923, which is the direct disposition of the real estate property located on 147, 149 Exit Street to the border of 141, 143 Exit Street. The map is 106, lot 53. It was sent to the full council to do the direct disposition as a, actually, direct disposition program. I would like to make that as a form of a motion for discussion.
Second.
Motion made by the chair, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion.
Francisco, did you have the opportunity to discuss this
Yep.
this item in terms of the condition?
Condition's gonna be, allowed, one is to merge the two lots together, and the other one is to allow them space for they could extend their kitchen and, for outdoor dining. No.
Okay, so that was my question.
Any other questions?
I would like
or
to make a
comments?
motion to approve.
Second.
It's already out there, so we're going to affirm that. You still want that to go, right? All right, super. Any further discussion on this matter? Councilor Russell.
At the committee hearing, it was my understanding that this area was going to be used strictly as a dining area.
Outdoor dining.
You just mentioned extending a kitchen.
Correct, for the,
Extension of a kitchen means construction off of the old,
of the existing building to allow for expansion of the kitchen for the outdoor dining purpose as well as building a deck.
Is the extension of the kitchen going to be a permanent structure?
Correct.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
But it's not gonna be a whole full building connecting to the whole other side.
Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Roll call vote.
Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Present.
Councilor Maria De La Cruz? Yes. Councilor Levy? Noted absent. Council Vice President Estela Reyes, also noted as absent. Council President LaPlante?
Yes. Motion carries. And at this point, we'll go to any other matters, councilors?
We also have the
What else is here?
The CDBGs are here, so, but this is to order public hearing.
I do, just order.
This is, the CDBGs is for to order public hearing, yes. So, but I will do.
We'll just go with the communications. I'm gonna go with communications, all right. I'm gonna jump up to document under communications from the mayor and city officials, document 12923. Counselors, this is under communications, page 1, no, page 2. This is dealing with Lawrence Canals and update. So counselors, I put this on the agenda. Canals, as we all know, we've had several meetings on canals, and this, obviously, we all can understand and appreciate the importance of the canals in our city, what it means, not only in its appearance, but also its rich history, and in what the possibilities can be. We are, when I say we, I mean the owners of the canals and the hydroelectric plant are about to go forward on relicensing through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, otherwise known as FERC. This process is now about to begin. The last discussions that we had collectively as a group was regarding the footprint. Would the canals be a part of it? Would it not be a part of it? Ultimately, it was decided, and we all supported this, the canals are part of the footprint of the licensing part. So that is going to be part of the license as it goes forward with FERC. Now, we have representatives here who are going to give us an update specifically on that process and what that entails. This item is not designed necessarily to deal with the day-to-day operations. We all know of the challenges that they're facing with respect to the canal itself. We all see it, we know it, et cetera, but the purpose of this, for their request to be honest, is to give us an opportunity to listen about the relicensing application. So with that, name and address for everybody one more time for the record, and whoever wishes to speak, it's a live mic and you're open to speak. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilor President. We are very happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Skip Medford. I come from New Hampshire, and I'm representing the Essex Company, LLC, tonight, which has existed for a very long time, but was transferred from one corporate parent last year, Central Rivers Power, to Patriot Hydro. We are now under the auspices of Patriot Hydro LLC, operator of many hydroelectric projects nationwide. But our focus with you, and we're happy to be here, remains the Lawrence Hydroelectric Project. I couldn't summarize our purpose here tonight better, Mr. President, but I do want to introduce two colleagues of mine who are here to illustrate relicensing and illustrate relicensing for you, which is a 5-year process, as you noted, under the auspices of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in Washington, which authorizes the project's operation, and to answer any questions that you may have about that relicensing process. Without further ado, let me introduce Kevin Webb, who is our hydro licensing manager and has decades of experience in these endeavors, and John Robichaud, our asset manager, who is in charge of our operations at the Lawrence Project and all of our projects nationwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Chairman, Council President, excuse me, LaPlante. My name is Kevin Webb. I am the hydro licensing manager for Patriot Hydro and for its now subsidiary company, Essex Company. I've been doing relicensing for over 30 years. This will be maybe my 23rd or 24th relicensing that I'll be doing. So this license was issued in 1978 for a term of 50 years. It expires on November 30 of 2028. FERC's rules require that we notify the FERC and the general public of our intent to relicense between 5 to 5.5 years prior to the expiration, because it's a 5-year licensing process. So that would be between June 1 and November 30 of this year. We are targeting starting on or about June 1 to give ourselves a maximum amount of time to do the various studies, develop the necessary information, engage with various stakeholders and so on to develop our relicensing proposal and application. So when what we will be issuing on or about June 1 will be called a notice of intent. It's just a formal legal document saying that we hereby declare that we're moving forward. And then there will be what's called a pre-application document, or PAD. You may hear those terms, NOI, PAD, as we go forward through the early stages of this relicensing. The PAD really just summarizes what is the project, what does it consist of, how is it operated, and then goes through a summary of all of the information that we can gather about the local environment, the history, the recreation, social, the potential social impact of the project, and so on. It's an all-encompassing document. We summarize that from what we know right now without actually going out and doing any studies. In preparation for doing that, for putting out that pre-application document, we'll be sending around a questionnaire that will be going to a number of the city staff in the key departments. I believe that we will be sending a copy to you as well, President LaPlante. We are also engaging with numerous NGO stakeholders in the city, including Groundworks Lawrence, Lawrence Community Works, and so on. We've already met with that group about a week ago to just give them the longer version of what I'm telling you right now. So that PAD questionnaire should be coming out fairly soon. I would think by no later than early next week, if not by Friday. We're asking for 30 days to respond, and just basically let us know what your concerns are, what information you may have that may be useful to us in our application. We have retained consulting firm HDR, supported by Normandeau Associates. HDR is a national level engineering firm. They are currently working with us on the relicensing of the Lowell project upstream, along with Normandeau Associates as well. Normandeau is based out of Bedford. They handle all of the fisheries issues. They're all biologists. So once we send out this notice of intent and pre-application document, FERC staff is going to take over the process. FERC staff will be directing the whole relicensing process out of Washington. About sometime in late August, I believe, they will likely be holding a site visit and then a pair of scoping meetings. The scoping meetings are intended to scope out what the issues are that will need to be covered eventually in their NEPA, or National Environmental Policy Act document. It's called an environmental assessment, or a larger project may require a full environmental impact statement. So they will be scoping out the issues. There will be a daytime meeting and an evening meeting. And again, this will be sometime in late August. From that point forward, there's a round, I won't go through the whole schedule, but there will be a round of FERC taking comments, study requests, and so on. We then develop a study plan, carry out the studies. Ultimately, we need to complete all of our studies and produce a license applications 2 years before license expiration. So in November of 2026 is when we have to file our license application. I know your key interest here is the canals. We are not making any decisions about the canals going in or out of the license until we are done with all of our studies. I think it's fair to everyone to fully hear out all of the issues and fully understand what the concerns are. And I have no fixed feelings of my own whether they should go in, go out, or stay in the license. Let's see, HDR is setting up a public website that will be used for disseminating all documents. They can also be, all the documents can be obtained through FERC's website, but we'll have a special website of our own where you can keep track of the schedule, keep track of the documents that are going in and out. Given that there's the preponderance of Spanish-speaking people in the city, we're looking at doing a bilingual website. And then we'll also provide some translation services for certain documents, probably more at a high-level summary. FERC's regulations require that all documents ending up with them be written in English. But we will do what we can to accommodate the multilingual character of this city. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
I'm going to look for questions. I'm going to start off with your comment regarding the canals. Help me understand the previous discussion with respect to the earlier ruling by FERC. That is my understanding that said that when the previous petitioners petitioned Clean River Power,
Central River.
Central Power, thank you, Central River Power petitioned, they wanted to get the footprint of the canal out. And my understanding was that that failed. And so what I'm hearing, please clarify your comments as opposed to my understanding, as opposed to what you're saying, which is we're having a further discussion about the canals, whether or not it's in the footprint later. Help me understand that better.
Sure. So this actually goes back to the ownership of the project by Enel. And as you may recall, there was a complaint filed by the city and a number of other parties relative to the canals. FERC investigated that, and their conclusion from that was basically they said, review the status of the canals relative to the operation of the project. And if they do not serve what FERC calls a project purpose, that is, do the canals contribute to the energy production at the main powerhouse? Because that is the main purpose of the license, is to generate power. We concluded that the canals do not contribute to power generation, which started that whole discussion.
And let me stop you right there, because
Sure.
when you say we, that wasn't you. That was CRP that did that. Now there's Patriot Power. No, there's similar faces that are representing that. So does Patriot Power agree with CRP? That the canal should not. Sure. So the ruling came out for CRP saying CRP that CRP was against the canals being a part of the footprint. We have new owners now. It's Patriot Power.
Right.
So is Patriot Power mimicking CRP's position?
No.
Or, okay, please explain.
No. I'm saying we because I have personally been through the whole chain of Enel to Central Rivers to Patriot. So, but in any regard, Patriot Hydro, our senior management has not made any decisions on that, in that regard. So, to finish what I was saying before, FERC at the end said, sorry, it's too late. We're not going to make a decision on this issue because relicensing is too close. So let's defer this until relicensing so we can take a holistic look at the entire project. So that's how we're proceeding. And again, we're not going to make any commitment, any decisions on that until we have all of the information in, which will be roughly 2 years out. And, you know, and we're certainly open to listening to everyone's. I mean, that's what this whole process is about, is to take input from everyone and consider all the opinions and all the information and come to a final decision.
So I wrote down as many notes as I could regarding the timeline. When is the application supposed to be, I mean, I saw the NOI, I saw the pad, I saw the consultant coming in, I saw the evening and the afternoon meetings, et cetera. When is the application going forward, and when does the license expire? So when does the new license need to be issued? I mean, big picture timeframe, I don't even need April 30th of this date, August of this date, just big picture of that.
Big picture. So the license expires November 30th, 2028. We have to file our final license application by November 30 of 2026, 2 years before. Once FERC has that application in hand, they'll be reviewing it, they'll be asking additional information, they always do. They'll always find some missing piece of information. If during their processing they are not able to issue the new license by the time the current license expires, they will issue what is called an annual license. That is a 1-year extension of the current license, and they will keep doing that until they are able to issue the new license. So there is a flurry of relicensing activity nationwide right now. FERC is very busy, all the consultants are busy, I'm very busy. This is my 8th or 9th that I'm working on just for one company. So things are tending to run a little bit behind. We are within a week or two of getting our first annual license for the Lowell project. I've seen as many as 2 annual licenses. But FERC is not going to make a final decision until they are fully ready to go.
Open this up to my colleagues. I guess I just have one more question. Councilor Rodriguez. I got one more question. Okay, and then I'll look to you. So one of the things that it's going to be part of the application, I'm going to ask you a question and then a quick follow-up. In the application, is there an opportunity to talk about the current state of compliance with the license? And I realize that this particular company, Patriot Hydro, has only been there for less than a year, correct? So, but you're stepping into the feet of those that preceded you, is my understanding. And so the question now is, what are you doing at this point to comply with the license until it expires in 2028? Mm-hmm. All the things, including the canals and its conditions, and I promise we weren't going to go into what's going on with this and this and this, but what are you doing about the things that are not in compliance with the license at this point, to show FERC that you're ready to take whatever's on?
Right, yeah, so yeah, compliance under the existing license is fully discussed. And you know, there is no doubt there will be a lot of information produced about, you know, the condition of the canals, the historic quality of the canals. And just to clarify, the applicant is not going to be Patriot Hydro or would have been Central Rivers. It's going to be Essex Company LLC, which is in fact the same Essex company that built the dam and the canals in the first place. You know, when we refer to Patriot Hydro, it's an upstream owner. It's the ultimate owner up the chain, if you want to say. So, yes, compliance under the current license is absolutely discussed. And, you know, it's up to us to come up with a proposal for getting things back into shape. I know we're putting a lot of work into the canals right now. I won't get into that, but you know, we're trying to make good. So, is that,
That's good. Just like FYI, I mean, everything that I'm seeing says Patriot Hydro. I don't see Essex Company anywhere on there. So you're representing yourself not as Essex Company. I know you're saying that, but
Yeah.
it's being represented as Patriot Hydro. Councilor Rodriguez?
yeah.
Through you, Council President, thank you for the opportunity. Well, a couple of things that I wanted to touch up on this. So are you able to send us the longer version of the re-licensing process?
I'm sorry.
Are you able to please send the city council the longer version of the re-licensing process?
Sure,
Because
sure.
in your comments, you mentioned that you met with a few groups and explained the long process of that re-licensing process.
Right. So this is the presentation that I gave at, with the various stakeholders earlier. I can certainly provide, send this along to, I can give it to you right now if you want. I can forward the PDF of that.
Yeah,
And
also
that may not be self-explanatory, it being just slides.
do
Would
you
you?
mind providing a document that is more explanatory to us so we can understand the whole process
Sure,
and be on board?
sure.
And also, can you provide the scheduling for the project as well?
Sure, the more detailed schedule?
Sure.
Yes, we can do that.
So when you mentioned the pre-application documentations and you mentioned the NOA and the PAD, do you have any draft documentation that how that gonna look like?
The NOI is 10 pages. The PAD will be probably at least a couple hundred pages. I can send you an example. I could send you Lowell's,
Yeah, please,
okay?
so we can take a look at how that look like.
Bring this down for me, please. Thank you.
And also you mentioned that, I missed this part when you mentioned the site visit, and for the scoping meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be by FARC, or that's gonna be by who?
It's going to be joint, so we will run the site visit. That will be, typically would be followed that afternoon by a scoping meeting, a public scoping meeting. The daytime meeting is typically done for, the agency personnel who can't travel in the evening, and then there's an evening meeting for the local residents, make it easier for them to attend.
Is that, for the scoping meeting, can you add us on the meeting? Or add a few council that are interested?
Yes, so those meetings will be run by FERC. So we do the site visit, FERC does the scoping meetings.
Okay.
We will keep the council fully informed of when these meetings are coming up.
Sure.
Okay?
To the canal, couple of things on the canal. The first thing that I would like to discuss is that the current condition of the canal. When we started this conversation back then, a year and a half ago, it was because of the canal have multiple issues. And during those discussions and during the process of removing the canal out of the scope of the project, there was some discussion around an investment for the maintenance of the canal, and that was around $600,000. That was last year, I believe that you guys did something, and this year, you guys are planning on going back and keeping up with the maintenance?
Yes, actually, I would defer to John on that. You want to? Yeah.
President LaPlante, council members, thank you. It's good to speak with you again. In relation to your question about the maintenance, yes, we're very much proactive with our maintenance, both in the north and south canals this year. We have two significant repairs, one at the Pacific Mills, and where was the other one? Just adjacent to, not Pacific Mills, but the just downstream from it, correct?
Yeah.
Pacific Mills and Jackson Street at one mill.
Yep, and then the Lower Locks facility, or the Lower Locks Dam that we're repairing as well. So a heavy investment in the North Canal, and then also a heavy investment in our South Canal with the recent, basically sinkhole matter we had at the New Balance facility, which we're actively participating with the FERC and repairing that and hopefully getting that back online by June, so.
So that's a fully committed project that is going to continue throughout the process of the relicensing, and so far, so on.
Very much so. We are fully engaged in repairing those, the canal walls and bringing that water level back up in the north, or excuse me, in the North Canal, yes.
Does the short-term commitment, so what about once those two projects are done, that you planning on keep on going with the regular typical maintenance that the canals might require?
There's always something to do with canal infrastructure this old, and we are actively engaged with that. We have I would say, a structured repair plan. Like I said, the two repairs, we already have vendors on site, or vendors ready to be active with those repairs for the North Canal. Once we have water levels or conditions that are conducive to those repairs, we'll start those roughly in about a month's time. And then once water levels drop enough where we can start on the repairs of the lower locks, we'll begin that. That may not be till the fall, just because we're based on water level conditions, and we can't lower the dam due to fish passage and also the upstream use of the river system, so we're restricted there. But again, we have a very active plan and structure to how we're going to do these repairs with the canal walls.
So let me ask you a quick question. So once those repairs are done, is that means that the level of the canal is going to be a little upper? Because right now it's like almost dry.
Very much so. The last part of that will be the lower locks and the repair of those gate structures. So we're going to have to lower that, the water level, repair those gate structures, and then we will raise the water level back up to its normal operating height. And that'll bring it'll probably come up, I think, 5 feet, the water level, if I'm not mistaken, which will be back to its normal level, which will then control vegetation, control erosion, and deterioration of the structure of those canals much more.
I hope that you guys understand that, having a dry canal around the city look awful.
And it doesn't do us any good, because the water pressure actually keeps the walls intact. So when you drain it, it makes more maintenance for us. So it is in our benefit to get that system repaired as quickly and as efficiently as we can.
So, well, thank you for maintaining those commitments. Another question that I have for the canal, and now that's gonna be continuing with the Council President's question in regard to having the canal as part of the scope of work. That may be more for the licensing. We have, the City of Lawrence have received information in regard that the petition of removing the canal out of the scope of the work was denial. And now we're hearing, going back to Councilor LaPlante's question, we're hearing that the company is not going to make any determination or comment on that until you provide all the studies are done. We thought, the City of Lawrence, or me personally, we thought that was a done deal, that was part of that application process, because those discussions were already done, and a determination was accomplished. So I'm hearing that that's not the case. So what is it that we need? I mean, that means that we need to be aware of probably getting those discussions back on the table again.
We expect to be re-engaging the stakeholders that we were talking to before when we were taking the canals out. And that's not just for the purpose of discussing whether or not the canals stay in, but how do we come up with a process for monitoring and maintaining? I think everyone in the city has an interest in those canals. The folks with the Groundworks Lawrence and so on have a stake in that as well. So yeah, we do intend to reinitiate those discussions, once we get the ball rolling here with the
I would
relicensing.
like to see that once we start having those discussions, I would like to see the cost of the maintenance of the canal on the discussion as well, because that's gonna be a huge deal for the city of Lawrence to take over those maintenance. And not necessarily any type of historical benefit that gonna bring something back to the city of Lawrence. So now that we have a problem, somebody wanna take him out? I mean, that's not right.
Based on what you said, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we're proposing. We were not proposing to abandon the canals. We were not, we've never had that as an intention. The only change would be whether they are part of the FERC project. We would still own them, we would still maintain them, but they would be outside of outside of the FERC project boundary. But it doesn't change our responsibilities at all. That was the only change that we're looking for.
So explain to me a little more hypothetically whether, let's say perhaps that they are not part of the scope of work, how that's gonna work perhaps. Let's just give a random samples as of how that look like.
So, we started talking about establishing a maintenance fund. And that, we're just starting those discussions when FERC said, sorry, we're not gonna entertain this, application anymore, and they dismissed the application. So, we are having very similar issues and discussions in Lowell, and are very close to signing an agreement, I think, with Park Service and the city and so on. And I can't discuss the details of that right now. It is confidential negotiations, but hopefully when we get this thing across the finish line and it's submitted to FERC, I think the city of Lawrence can take some comfort in what we're doing up there. And that's as far as I can go with that right now.
Let me ask you a quick question. I mean, now that you have seen both of the projects, the Lowell and the Lawrence one, do you think that the challenges both of the city face are similar?
I think so. From
what perspective?
the difference with Lowell is that it's part of a national park. But beyond that, we have very similar challenges. The canals are the historic centerpiece of each of these cities. And, you have a valid point. The canals here in Lawrence are in poor condition. And, as John was talking about, we're doing what we can to get things back up and running again, and back up to normal water levels.
All right, I'm just gonna leave it up to that point. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Counselor Dela Cruz.
When I pass by the canal, the beauty of the canal is not there. It looks like a destroyed city, destroyed location. Then, are you thinking about beautifying the area at one point after working with the main concern of the hydro company? Are you planning to be part of reestablishing the area completely? For example, I don't see a lot of plants around there, which is part of the environment. The city planning is also thinking about upgrading those locations around there, then will there be a conflict of interest by the canal people or by the city because of the beautification of the place? Or is part of the plan to change the whole view of that area?
The plan is not to change the whole view. So, you know, first thing we have to do is we need to get the canals back in proper working order. The land abutting the canals, other than the towpath on the, I guess, what's that, it's on the left-hand side as you're going down the canal. We own the 25-foot wide towpath. But on the north side, we do not own any property beyond the canal wall. I mean, we certainly, you know, could talk about, you know, cooperative efforts for you know, landscaping and beautifying the area. But I think our number one job and number one responsibility is to, you know, get the canals back in proper working and aesthetic order.
Mentioned you're going to do some work with the environmental conditions. Is the EPA allocating some money to this company to upgrade the system?
No, we don't deal with EPA. You know, everything that we're doing is our money. It's all of the work is paid from, you know, by the hydropower plant and by Essex Company.
I know that the location is going to be upgraded at one point because we wanted to beautify that area. Will that affect the company with the canal and repair all of the findings that you get when you do your investigation?
I'm not quite sure if I follow your question, but
For example, for you to do the work, does that affect any other part of our city planning? That's the downtown area. I'm sure that in 5, 10 more years, that area is going to be completely changed. Will that affect the hydroelectric company? Or is that two separate issues?
I think those are two separate issues. You know, our job is to get the canals back in good condition, and what goes on outside, beside the canal, and hopefully, you know, you know, getting the canals back in good working order will help, you know, the neighboring community and neighborhoods.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Levy and then Councilor Russell.
Thank you, Council President. My question is, who is the responsible of the poor condition of the canal at this point?
Who is responsible?
Yes.
Ultimately, it's our responsibility.
Is your responsibility?
I'm sorry?
Essex Company is the
Essex
responsible
Company.
one?
Yep, and, you know, it's, you know, things have been, honestly, allowed to degrade over the years by previous owners. And we're trying to make good.
So the Essex Company was owned for somebody else, now it was sold to another group, and the new group is the one that are trying to taking care of the canal right now?
Right.
That's,
Right. So Central Rivers really started picking up steam with repairs. We're carrying that on now that we're Patriot. So,
but the new company knew the condition of the canal, and maybe that is part of the contract just to, when you buy it, no?
I believe they factored in repairs to the canals into their economic model. I don't know, but they were fully aware of the issues before they bought.
They're fully aware of the issue.
Right.
So what may, like, the old owners or something not to take care of something that is very important not just only like you mentioned for the city of Lawrence, but also for the city of Lawrence and some other city that's the canal pass by. Because it's in a very bad condition. It's something that's,
Right.
it looks like that never ever have been taken care of.
Right. And we're trying to make that better. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take many years of work.
So the Essex company also is responsible or was the owner of the river too? That's at least the side of the river that passed by through?
We do have property along the riverbank, yes.
Because this is another thing that is in a very bad condition, all of the riverbank. I just travel practically a little bit, you know, that's the Merrimack River, not too long ago, and this is in a very, very terrible condition too.
Yeah. I have not been down along that section of the river, but I can imagine.
But I hope that's whatever that is happening, the new company be responsible, you know, in taking care of, because if I buy a house and the house is not in a good condition, I will, maybe I will try, like we can say, to turn it down, but as if we can rehab the house, I think that it's gonna be better to do it than to turn it down.
Yeah.
And I hope the Lord cannot be like a back and just to turn down all of this canal.
Right.
That's right now is the beautiful of this city.
Yeah.
But we need to start taking care.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is we have a lot of work to do to regain your confidence.
So we have to wait now for you make any decision, or what are you going to do? Maybe 2 more years and decide it until you got all the report and a story and everything.
Okay. So going back to what I was saying before, the only decision is whether we abandon the canals or not. The decision is whether they're included in the FERC license. And the question from FERC originated with, what do these canals contribute to the generation at the hydroelectric plant? So that was the basis of where that all started.
So practically, the main point in here is what is going to be the contribution of those canals to the generation of the power plant. If we don't have any contribution, so the canal is going to disappear.
No, and again, we're not, we understand our responsibilities to the canals. Regardless of FERC, we have a responsibility to maintain them, and we're working on that.
Well, hopefully, yes. Maybe we can keep looking through the fronts, you know, and get timber, not to destroy, or just to keep it back, to keep destroying the beautiful or something that is being part of the historic of a city, like Lawrence is a historical city. And like many of you know, through those canals is where most of the industry before survived and made everybody, like Essex company, to be where it was before.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Russell, then Councilor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. As I understand what you've presented, you want to subdivide out the north and south canal from the power generation unit itself, but you still want to maintain it, correct?
As long as we own it, we have to maintain it.
Okay. The next question I have is, does the 2 canals, are they any part of the National Historical Landmark System at all?
The North Canal is a historic district under the National Register of Historic Places. The South Canal is considered eligible for listing. And so that consideration of the South Canal and whether it should be listed will be taken up during relicensing.
Okay, now, does the fish ladder that's on the south side of the, on the South Canal, on the south side of your power generation facility, would that be seriously impacted if it were the South and North Canal were to be cut out of the FERC licensing or relicensing process?
No. That wouldn't be impacted. I mean, you know, we need to keep water in those canals. The only thing we try not to do is to open gates when fish are out migrating. We previously had, when Aquamac and Merrimack were operating, we had an agreement with the fish agencies to shut off the South Canal so that out migrating salmon would not get drawn in there.
So you do deal with Fish and Wildlife Service involving the fish ladder?
Right, yes, yeah. So there'll be two primary issues in this relicensing. One is the canals, primary for this group, and then there's the fish passage. That'll be the other big issue. Everything else will be relatively minor in comparison. These are going to be the two big issues.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Infante?
Council President, I'm going to let Councilor Del Rosario go for a quick comment.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Thank you. Thank you through you, Mr. Council President. I don't know if my colleagues have been hearing this, but I've been hearing it for almost 2 years, and it's the same thing. What you guys want to do eventually is get rid of the canal and leave it to us, but that's okay. And every time you guys speak, I've been hearing the same conversation we had almost 2 years ago. You just got this company, it's not your responsibility, you just inherited it from somebody else, but you want to use the excess company, which it was long time ago, to get a license. So, and when it comes to maintenance, you guys are blaming them, right? You just got this problem, it's them, and now we would try to fix it. And in 2 years, almost 2 years that we've been here, we talked to you guys a few years ago, well, almost 2 years. Same conversation. Nothing had happened in the canal. They have been deteriorating. Now you want to have a conversation and you want to sweet-coat it, sugar-coat it to us, that you're going to maintain them. You probably did a little job here and there, but nothing had happened in almost 2 years in the canals. They worse than what the first time you guys came to work with us or talk to us. And again, I'm going to say it again. Maria de la Cruz, my colleague, all they want to do is get rid of the canal. It's a responsibility for them. They're not going to beautify anything. They haven't beautified anything while they owned it. So they're not going to do it. And again, they blaming the other companies that were before them, but they using one of the companies that was before them to get a license. So they just here doing what they need to do to try to get rid of the canal. And it's the same conversation we have almost 2 years ago. And like my colleague, Councilor Rodriguez says, it was a denial on the decision of get rid of the canal, and they're going to try it again because they don't want to keep the canal, they don't want to beautify the canal, they don't want to maintain the canal. They haven't done it in 2 years. Thank you.
Councilor Infante?
Thank you, Council President. To my colleague's point, now that my colleague mentioned that, it was stated earlier that, I believe it was you, sir, that said that you've been part of this project since the beginning. My concern is when Central Rivers determined that the canals do not play a role in the overall plan of the project, I'm concerned about bias being a part of that, of the new decision, even though you're doing reassessments with stakeholders, because there are still people that have been with the previous companies that are now with this new company and are still involved with this project. Another thing, we've heard it over and over again is, I mean, from Access to Central to Patriot, it's been the same thing. The canals, that area have been neglected for years and years. I personally, I've said this before during our meeting to this company, I don't have faith that you will keep up with what you're saying, because right now to me it's just words. I did take a note that there is a structure replan, structure repair replan. I would like to see that if it's possible, if it could become public. And also I would like to see a maintenance plan, because if you really are about maintaining it, whether the canals are part of the FERC or not, then you need to, I mean, there's a distrust. You need to gain our trust back, and you need to make sure that we feel comfortable and that we're also working with you if this is the plan to maintain it, because it is a community effort, not only with you guys as owners, but with us. And I mean, in the future, I don't want to come back 2 years from now or 5 years from now with the same thing, or like my colleague said, 2 years from now, the canals in that area looking worse than, you know, from this meeting. So if you can, I don't know if my colleagues agree with me, but I would like I mentioned, I would like to see the structure repair plan and a maintenance plan when it's ready, so we can know what's actually going on. Because even earlier, you mentioned that there's work being done, that you didn't want to get into it, but those are the details right now in a public forum that needs to be said because of the long-lasting distrust that we've had with all three companies.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilors wish to speak on this matter? Very good. I just have one final question, and then we're going to end the communications, which is, you repeatedly said to the council that regardless of whether or not the canals are in the footprint, that you being Essex Company / Patriot Hydro, will maintain the canals. What is to compel you, to kind of reiterate what my colleague said, what is to compel you to do that? Is there a license? Is there an ordinance? Is there a law? What is it that's going to require you to maintain that if it is not under the FERC license?
Regardless of whether the canals are in or out of the license, in order for FERC to let go of the reins, if you want to call it that, they're gonna, you know, if the canals stay in the license, they'll have us come up with a maintenance plan, repair schedule, and all that sort of thing. If we propose to pull the canals out, they're still going to require that because they're not going to let go of the reins until they are confident that things will be taken care of properly outside of their jurisdiction. FERC will not just let go of the reins and say, okay, we're done. That's been, you know, that's been very clear throughout this whole process.
I'm so sorry. One of my colleagues was talking about trust, so I'll ask the question. How do we know that's what FERC is going to require you to do? And what is FERC's hammer at the appropriate time if it's outside, if you already have your license renewal to say, hey, fix that problem with the canal, bring the water up, do whatever needs to be done to make this a viable potential energy option, or maybe if it's out of the license, then a non-energy option.
Right. And that just happens to be a topic that we're trying to wrestle with right now in Lowell, is what does enforceability look like outside of FERC's jurisdiction? And we're honestly working on that issue right now. I see, regardless of where we go here, I see Lowell as a good model for what we're going to do, what we're going to be facing here.
A last question. Where is Lowell on the spectrum as far as the schedule? We're 26, 28, 26 applications due, 28 license due. What's their schedule? What's their?
So our license termination date is this April 30. So we will go into our first annual license as of May 1.
May 1's the new license for Lowell?
No, that's the annual extension of the current license.
Okay.
The annual license. We're at least a year to year and a half out from a new license. Is my best guess.
Ish?
The two projects are almost exactly 2 years apart, yeah. So, yeah.
All right, well, so if you wouldn't mind, my colleague made a request for information. If you wouldn't mind sending that over to us so we all have a better handle as to what is your spectrum of work, anticipated deliverables, if you will, on that would be fantastic. And then we could move on. But we do appreciate your coming here tonight and providing more information as to the process and answering some of the other questions, so thank you.
Sure, you're welcome, and thank you for having us.
I'm going to look to my
Thank you.
colleague, Council Vice President. You've got some items you want to take out?
Document 9123.
If there's no objection, we'll take 9123 out of order. Is there any objection? See no objection, go ahead, Council Vice President. I'm sorry, Council Vice Chair.
Yeah,
Me, Chair.
Oh, by the way, we already elected chair.
Did you have? Okay, so what's the, what happened?
Myself, I'm the chair, Ana Levy, Council at Large, is the vice chair.
Very good. Mr. Chairman of the Budget Committee, please give the report for 9123.
The Budget and Finance met, discussed item 9123 for the CIU Local 3 Clerical Union Collective Bargaining Agreement for the amount of $112,100 for the current year and wages. It was put together by Mike Iannello. We discussed this. Send it over to the full council with a fair recommendation, and I would like to make that as a form of a motion.
Motion made by the chairman, seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes, discussion through you, Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
One of the questions that I asked, it was that I would like to see a document signed by both the unions and all of the bodies. Mark, do you have that available?
Welcome, Mr. Iannello. Do you have a copy of the signed?
I have it up in my office. I didn't bring it downstairs, I'm afraid. But I can go up and get it and show it to you. I do have it signed by the
Send it
mayor.
to us later on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments on this matter?
If Mark, do you mind going over the main points of the contract as of what part of the negotiation, what it was and stuff like that?
Good evening, councilors. In your packet is a cover letter explaining the financial transfer. There's a financial transfer required for many departments have, this is the clerical union, so many departments have clerks, so this is a transfer into those accounts. The next page is a brief contract synopsis of what is in this memorandum of understanding. And this contract expired, the current contract expired 6/30/22, so this contract term is 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. That's 3 fiscal years. There's the contract changes. We made some changes to the management rights clause of the agreement, which basically identifies things or changes things for clarity purposes. And explaining things a little bit more. There's a clothing allowance for the 911 call takers. They get an annual uniform allowance, increase the annual allowance from, I believe it was $650 to $750. The hours of work is the biggest thing that we negotiated that primarily impacts this union, and that allows the union agreed to, if the city were to stay open late one night a week, which we've proposed probably Tuesday evening, stay open till 7 p.m. All the departments City Hall would be open till 7 p.m. with a early release on Friday for whatever the same hours are. The extended hours on Tuesday would be transferred to Friday, so everybody would still work the same number of hours per week. In this union, that's 37.5 hours per week. So the union agreed to that. So that's something that the mayor is looking forward to offering to its residents. We have an automated timekeeping system. Should we go to an automated timekeeping system, the union has agreed to allow the city to implement that. And then there was a call taker grievance with the call takers had a grievance with the city because they were mandated to work overtime, and so they just so we settled that grievance with offering some compensatory time, and then we negotiated in the new contract that the workers can be ordered to work overtime when someone calls out sick and so forth. But there's a limited number of, I think they could do it 3 times within a pay period. So that was successfully negotiated. There also, it's not in the letter, I missed it in the letter, but we also have added Juneteenth as the holiday. And then just to briefly, the cost of living increases are basically for, in 7/122, there's some adjustments to salaries, and then there's a 2.5% increase for those at grade 8. And then in January 1 of '23, there's another increase of 0.5% for those in grade 8. And then the grade 9 clerical employees are going to be moved to grade 12. And in exchange for that increase in pay, we're going to, the union has agreed to cross-train or allow the city to cross-train all of the clerks within the department and even outside the department. So that's an efficiency that we were looking for. And at 7/123, there's a 3% increase, and at 7/124, a 3% increase. And also attached is the, next in your packet is the CAFO certification that under Chapter 50 of the Acts of 2010, I have to certify that the city can afford this contract. So that's also in your packet. And then a copy of the agreement is also attached. The one that's attached to your agreement is the one signed by the union, and the CAFO, I have upstairs the mayor's signature. I just didn't have it in time for submitting this to the council agenda. So that's this union agreement in a nutshell.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Do you want to take the next document, Mr. Chairman?
Of course.
Document 90. There's no
9223.
There's no objection. We'll take 9223 out of order. Is there any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
The Budget and Finance Committee discussed the SEIU Local 3 Water Union Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, with the appropriation of $15,000 for the salary and wages. We send that over with a fair recommendation, and I would like to make that as a form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by the representative. Discussion?
Just, Mark, can you send us the signed copy?
In your, I'll bring the signed copy, and in your package is the same explanation, a cover letter showing the 15,000 transfer, a brief synopsis of the changes to the contract on the next page, and then the CAFO certification, and then a copy of the agreement signed by the union and the CAFO.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, Mark, just to clarify, there is a 3 years increasement on salary on that, right?
Yes, this is the same contract. The current contract expired 6/30/22, and this new contract is 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. That's 3 fiscal years.
And there is also a cost of living increasement.
Yes, and they have, again, there's on 7/1/22, they have a market rate adjustment of $1 per hour for those in the union on 7/1/22, and on 7/1/23, there's a 3% increase, and 7/1/24, a 3% increase. Along with a few other things, clothing allowance, as identified in the contract synopsis, we changes to management rights, have a clothing allowance for the employees wanted to get reimbursed for the clothing allowance instead of getting a lump sum payment. So those are coming into the union after a certain date get a different deal than what the current employees have. Hours of work, as I just mentioned, I don't believe this impacts the water unit, but we had the water unit agree that we could change the hours of work if City Hall impacted them, they have agreed to the change. And also the automated timekeeping system, Juneteenth as a holiday, and we increased the water distribution and water treatment license, $100 for a grade 1, a grade 2, a grade 3, or grade 4. So we increased each of those grades a $100 stipend. And that's the highlights of the CBA.
Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman?
So essentially, the mayor would like to have the city hall open on Tuesdays until 7 p.m., right? Or
Yeah,
for-
that's the plan, to stay open till 7 PM on Tuesday, 7 PM on Tuesday evenings with the early release on Friday for the same number of hours. The extra hours worked would be removed or reduced from their Friday workday. So I
So just
believe
to-
it would be early release on like 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon.
So each department is going to have few people on it, and then on on Friday afternoon, it's gonna be less people available.
No, Friday afternoon, the idea is to have everyone work till 7 PM on Tuesday evening, when the City Hall would close basically at 1:30 PM. That would be that's the plan.
Understood.
Mr. President.
All right. Thank you so much, President.
Counselor Levy.
So that closing hours is gonna be, okay, you said like getting early on Friday.
Leaving early on Friday, yes.
It's gonna be like so many companies do it just only during the summertime, or that is gonna be year around?
You know, we have approval to go to 7 PM, or the union has agreed to go to 7 PM, so we think it would be a permanent, but we would, you know, obviously test it out, see how it works, and see if, see how it works with City Hall, where every resident complaints and so forth, so it's an option for the city to stay open till 7. If we choose not to do so and keep the current hours, we can do that as well.
Yeah, no, my question is, it's just gonna be year around, or it is gonna be just only during the summertime? So, like many companies start doing that, starting, I think so, May 31st, and then they reopen on September, the last day of September.
Yeah, I suppose we could do something like that, but we haven't, that hasn't been discussed. I think that the mayor, I believe, my understanding is the mayor would like to have this as a permanent change, so we would permanently do it. But we could, again, as long as give the employees notification of what the hours are. If it was just a summertime thing, I suppose we could just do it in the summer and go back to regular hours in the fall. But my understanding is this would be a permanent change.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Council Vice President, and then Mr. Russell.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor President. Just to let you guys know, Methuen does it all year round. Lowell does, and seems to work very well, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the people who work like until 4, at least they have the opportunity to come on Tuesday until 7. So it's all year round in Methuen. I heard Councilor De Rosario saying also Lowell. I think we should go for, we definitely should.
Councilor Russell.
I agree with the keeping it open late. When I lived in Delaware, the Registry of Motor Vehicles, which was only 3 of them, 1 in each county, they were open until 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. They shut at noontime on Friday. It worked ideally. Now, my question is, where did the idea of this Juneteenth holiday come from? Was it a union, or was it a city offering?
You know, the last few years, we have honored Juneteenth, so we kind of put that out as a union as something to help, like the hours change and a few other things.
Gee, all you guys are missing is a holiday in August. It's the only month that does not have a holiday.
Maybe right.
I do believe that Juneteenth is a state holiday. Councilor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. Just point of clarification, it's a federal holiday now. It became a federal holiday 2 years ago.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Mr. President, through you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
9023.
Is there any objection to taking 9023 out of order? Seeing no objections, Mr. Chairman.
The Budget and Finance Committee met, discussed item 9023, the review and approval of the annual application to HOP for community development block grants, CDBGs of 1,551,622, and home grants for $944,075. We discussed that, decided to send it over to the full council to order a public hearing.
Second.
Motion to make a public hearing's been seconded by Representative Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none? Councilor Chairman?
I know Susan Fain is here through Zoom. I don't know if you have something to add to the item. If it's not, we just go ahead and order the public hearing. All right, nothing else.
If there's no further questions, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I think we can start at the beginning now. Are we good? All right. Public hearings. We have several. We're going to read the first one all the way through, and then I'll be asking for a motion to suspend the preamble. Clerk, will you please read the public hearing notice for document 15822?
Document number 158-22. Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. A public meeting in the City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and in accordance with recently revised Council Rule 2, this meeting will be hybrid, allowing participation both in person and remotely to accommodate any participant with health considerations that prevent them from participating in person. To receive access codes for remote participation, please contact the City Clerk, Eileen.Burnell@cityoflawrence.com or 978-620-3230. The meeting may be viewed on Facebook and YouTube, and the links are provided. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, handicapped parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Saunders Street, east side, from a point 370 feet northeasterly of Park Street to a point 390 feet northeasterly of Park Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion, Councilor Russell.
Have these people, and there's numerous people that have applied for the handicap parking, have they all been advised that this is not their own personal parking spot? I've run across issues with people that say, this is mine and you can't park here even though you got a handicap thing. The handicap placards are for anybody with a handicap plate or a handicap placard.
Through you, Mr. President.
They had.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Sure. Well, I happened to be that I was going to discuss the send-in. I wanted to do something official to be able to send it to the applicants. Not just the one that we have in front of us, but the one that tend to forget. Because there is bunch that they think that they own those parking spots. So I was somebody called me up and request that the city attorney send a letter to the applicants, at least the one that we have information to, because it's becoming an issue. So maybe we can send correspondence to the city attorney to prep a memo and be able to see how we can send those over to the applicants that we have information to, at least. I'm pretty sure that we have, in the last 2-3 years, we have at least 100, maybe more. So, do you want to formalize that? So I would like to make a motion to send correspondence to the city attorney to draft a memo to send over to all the applicants that we have information to, stating that those parking spaces belong to anybody that is eligible to park on those spots.
I second it.
So so is it a friendly amendment to offer?
It's a separate motion. We have two motions already seconded.
So you want to have a separate, you want a separate roll call?
For the motion, it's already seconded.
So the first motion has been seconded and waived the 30
Right.
day. The second motion, I
In the letter.
seconded.
Right, so it's a friendly amendment?
Yep.
Unless okay, that's what I'm saying. So it's part of your original motion now, it's part of it. So we're doing two things? So we're doing two things, because you said yes? So you can make an amendment to the motion, you can do it either friendly amendment, or you can make a motion, we take a roll call vote on it.
The independent motion.
Independent motion, so there's a motion to amend this motion with a letter to the city attorney on from this point going forward, instructing the city attorney to draft a letter, and it's coming out of the city attorney's office to everybody that it is saying to them that this is not your personal parking spot. That's what this letter is saying?
Let's go back. Send correspondence to anybody that we have information, a letter from the city attorney stating that anybody with a handicap parking placard can access to the spot, and they're not exclusive to the applicant. And that's for anybody that have applied in the past that we have information to. So, and then in the future, we gonna keep on reminding people, and if we need to send another letter later on, reminding everybody that this is not exclusive, that could be something that we can definitely do it in the future.
Council President?
The clerk wishes to give some advice on this, and then I will recognize you. Go ahead, clerk.
No, I just, kind of in keeping with your question earlier, were you saying, is that fall within the purview of this document? Maybe the most appropriate thing is, and I think the council's trying to keep it separate from a friendly amendment, take a vote on document number 158-22, which is providing one handicap parking spot. Create a new document, 158B, which is what you are wanting, a separate and complete document, and that would be the vote on having the city attorney issue correspondence or form letter, or whatever we want to call it, to handicap parking for back within reason and going forward to any and all persons, letting them know that that's a public spot. So I think that'd be probably the cleanest way to do it. And it also keeps it separate from this one, because it is one parking spot towards the actual item.
What we'd like to have is basically have that item in case we need to pull it back eventually for the records and stuff like that, and we have that memo in there.
Yeah.
That people are gonna be getting it as well through the, if possible.
So I promise to recognize Councilor Del Rosario.
No, I mean, thank you, Council President, but the clerk just said it. I was gonna suggest that we just vote on the handicap, accessible parking, and then we deal with the other motion that, Councilor Rodriguez has on the table.
Okay, so, based on the recommendation from the city clerk, we're going to bifurcate document 158 to 158A, which is what is before us, 4850 Saunders Street, and 158B, which is going to be ultimately a letter to the city attorney, to my understanding, instructing the city attorney to get the addresses of all the previous applicants for handicap parking that we have on file, and informing them that those spaces of which they have applied for is not their personal space. So the city attorney's gonna, that's what the motion is. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're gonna start off with 158A, and then we're gonna deal with the other one here in a second. This is on the handicap parking for 48 to 50 Saunders Street, 158A. Is there any more comments on 158A, which is the handicap parking spot directly? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, 158B, which is now a standalone, which is sending instructions to the city attorney to research and send letters to those previous applicants. Discussion on that, is there a motion for that?
There's a motion to
Motion
send
by,
correspondence, yeah.
motioned by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by the vice president. Discussion?
And,
Yes.
through you, Council President.
It's your motion. I'm gonna go with Councilor Rodriguez, and then Councilor Levy, then Councilor Russell, in that order. Councilor Rodriguez, you have the floor.
And just to make sure to clarify that the research of the address, I'm assuming that we have that on record, right? So we can provide to whoever's gonna be sending the letter to. All right, thank you.
Councilor Levy?
It's just only a comment. So one of the reasons why this thing happened is because, like, I feel like I'm the owner of my house, and if I request a handicap sign, I feel like this part of the street is mine. That's why they are coming. So they feel like right now, okay, I request it, it's in front of my house, and now somebody is parking me there. The mayor parked in front of my house, and that was a handicap sign. They don't even know that was the mayor car. So he stopped just for a few seconds, and the person came out, and you don't even know everything that the person tell the mayor, because he stopped just to deliver something in front of my house. So that is my street, that is my parking, and this is my handicap sign, and you are not supposed to park right in here. That's the problem.
Councilor Russell, and then Vice President Reyes.
Okay, it's my understanding from my years of surveying work that city property goes from the back of sidewalk, across a curb, down, across the street, curb, to back of sidewalk. People complain about having to shovel snow on city sidewalk, but yet they demand that parking space at the curb is theirs, and it isn't. That's just my 2 cents worth on it. It's a double standard. Now, my suggestion is about sending out these things, just send out a letter to the occupant of the house that is directly behind the handicap. Have it worded to the effect, it has come to our attention that there is a handicap parking spot in front of your house that does not belong to you specifically, but belongs to whoever has a handicap plate or handicap placard. End of discussion, that's it.
Council, State Representative?
Thank you, Councilor President. Just a point of clarification. Every single time someone had called me and request a handicap parking, the first thing I said is, this does not belong to you. Anyone who has a placard is entitled to park there. That's one. Second is Officer Cano. Every single time he tried to go and make the measurement, he explained that to it. But I get this. It is true. Many people, because they had the one who applied for, they feel entitled. They feel like, I own this, you didn't. So I think, that letter is gonna help to reinsure information that they already have. But yes, I think it's a good idea just to send this out. And thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Well, another quick suggestion that eventually we can work it out too is probably posting that memo on the website, so people can look at it and say, look, it's on the website, take a look at it.
Any further? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Looking for a motion to suspend the reading of the public hearing preambles.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Infante, seconded by Counselor Russell. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 15922, Madam Clerk.
Document number 159-22, the purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence and be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. State Street, traveling south from the southwest corner of Andover Street on State Street to a point 50 feet to a point 70 feet. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Infante, seconded by Council Vice President. Discussion.
Discussion.
Counselor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say quickly, the petitioner, Lucy Santiago, did stop by the council office earlier today. She couldn't make the public hearing, but she thanks everybody, all the councilors, for their consideration of this handicap, and she is aware of everything that we just discussed here, so, but yeah, I just wanted to say that on her behalf.
Thank you so much, Counselor. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document number 25422, Madam Clerk.
The purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to section 10.36.010 of the municipal code, no parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Front Street, north side from the intersection of South Broadway in a westerly direction to a point 87 feet, and Front Street, south side from the intersection of South Broadway in a westerly direction to a point 87 feet. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Infante, seconded by the State Rep. Any other discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion, Counselor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. Again, like what I previously said, this was an issue that occurred back in July of 2022. Myself, the mayor, Officer Cano, Advisor Spanner, I forget who else, but we all met with the residents and the business owners and the residents of that area. And from that meeting, we believe that this is the best solution to avoid the future conflict that has been occurring on that street.
Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is document 29722. Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
29722 is a stop sign at Forest Street, the southeast Forest Street at Crescent Street. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red signals, the following paragraphs in their proper alphabetical order. Forest Street, southbound drivers on Forest Street at the intersection with Crescent Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Second.
Motion made by Counsel from District C and seconded by Councilor Reyes. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 29822, Madam Clerk.
Document number 298-22. Purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to the section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red signals, the following paragraphs in their appropriate alphabetical order. Crescent Street, westbound drivers on Forest Street at the intersection with Highgate Street. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and wait 30 days?
Motion made by Counselor Del Rosario, seconded by Counselor Russell. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document number 30922.
Document number 30922. The purpose of this hearing to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence and be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Water Street, traveling west from the southwest point of Riverview Place on Water Street to a point 114 feet to a point 134 feet. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Counselors? Motion made by Counselor Selena Reyes to waive the 30 days as well. It's been seconded by Vice President Reyes. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document number 31222.
Document number 31222, the purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to the section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red signals, the following paragraphs in their proper alphabetical order. Lennox Circle, westbound drivers on Lennox Circle at the intersection with Jefferson Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who would speak on this item? No. Is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days?
Motion made by Counselor Infante, seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document number 32222.
Document number 322-22 is a request for the obstruction for school buses only on Lebanon Street, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., put on the agenda by Adonis Hernandez. The purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following subparagraph to section 10.28.170 of the municipal code, school buses only, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Lebanon Street, buses only, from the intersection of Amesbury Street to the intersection of Lawrence Street, weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., then 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., beginning August 28th through June 30th each year. By further amending, by adding the following subparagraphs to section 10.28.040 of the municipal code, one-way streets, Lebanon Street from the intersection of Amesbury Street to the intersection of Lawrence Street in a northeasterly direction. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days?
Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Counselor Anna Levy. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
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 No? The ayes have it. The next document before us is document number 34822. Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
Notice is hereby, the purpose of this hearing to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinance of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to the section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red signals, the following subparagraphs in their proper alphabetical order. Amherst Street, northbound drivers on Amherst Street at the intersection with Andover Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Counselors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days?
Motion made and seconded by Counselor Vice President. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is document 34922. And that's a stop sign at Andover Street and Clifton Street. Madam Clerk?
Document number 349-22, the purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to the section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red signals, the following subparagraphs in their proper alphabetical order. Clifton Street, northbound drivers on Clifton Street at the intersection with Andover Street. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve.
Councilor Levy.
And waive the 30 days.
Councilor Levy's made a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion?
Discussion.
Councilor Infante?
I would like to add an amendment to waive the 30 days, if Councilor Levy would accept.
I accept the motion.
Amendment is adopted as part of the motion. Is there any other further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document 35322, handicap parking at 23 Springfield Street. Madam Clerk?
The purpose of the hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendments to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Springfield Street, traveling east from the southeast corner of Parker Street on Springfield Street to a point 273 feet to a point 293 feet. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and wait the 30 days.
Motion made by Councilor Levy, seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document before us is document number 35922, handicap parking at 265 Prospect Street. Madam Clerk?
The purpose of the hearing is to gather testimony, information, and input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Prospect Street, traveling south from the southeast corner of East Haverhill Street on Prospect Street to a point 285 feet to a point 305 feet. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and wait the 30 days.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Levy, seconded by the State Representative. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is document number 39522, 20 Bennett Street. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
Purpose of the hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.010 of the municipal code, no parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Bennett Street, west side, from a point 189 feet south of Medford Street to a point 209 feet south of Medford Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Second.
Motion made by the Council Vice President, seconded by Councilor Russell. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is document 40322, handicap parking at 1 Bunker Hill Street. Madam Clerk?
Hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinance of the City of Lawrence and be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Bunker Hill Street, east side, from a point 25 feet north of Myrtle Street to a point 45 feet north of Myrtle Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30-day?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document 40522, handicap parking at 32 Springfield Street. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Springfield Street, north side from a point 363 feet east of Parker Street to point 383 feet east of Parker Street. Set hours are Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. and Sundays 12 to 8 p.m. Persons wishing to be heard shall be...
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve?
Council Vice President makes a motion
Second.
to approve, seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document 40622, handicap parking at 300 Methuen Street. Clerk, will you please read the public hearing notice?
The purpose of the hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Methuen Street, south side from a point 174 feet east of Franklin Street to a point 194 feet east of Franklin Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve?
Motion made by the Council Vice President, seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document number 41222. Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice?
The purpose of the hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment of the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Bennington Street, west side from a point 30 feet north of Chester Street to a point 50 feet north of Chester Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30-day?
Motion made, seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next document is document 42622, handicap parking. Madam Clerk?
The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraphs to section 10.36.340 of the municipal code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Lexington Street, east side, from a point 330 feet north of Park Street to point 350 feet north of Park Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30-day?
Second.
Motion made by the Council Vice President, seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The last public hearing notice for the evening is document number 6123. Clerk, would you please read the public hearing notice? 1023, second to last. Madam Clerk?
The purpose of this hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding to section 10.28.100A of the municipal code, stop signs and flashing red lights, red signals, the following paragraphs in their appropriate alphabetical order. Shattuck Street, eastbound drivers on Shattuck Street at the intersection with Carver Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
The public hearing is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Public hearing is now closed. Councilors?
Motion to approve and waive the 30 days.
Motion made by Counselor Infante, seconded by Counselor Levy. Discussion?
Discussion?
Counselor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say the owner of the business that can't think of off the top of my head right now, did reach out to me. She couldn't attend the public hearing because due to childcare, but she appreciates the consideration and hopes that this gets passed by the council. It's not Ms. Ferrari, her name is Ashley. I forget her last name, but Ms. Ferrari works for Ashley.
Motion's been properly made, it's been properly seconded. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, as promised, the final item of the public hearings. Document 6123. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice?
To gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by deleting the following paragraph from Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, handicap parking. Lynn Street, north side, from point 140 feet westerly of the intersection of South Union Street to point 160 feet westerly of the intersection of South Union Street. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open on this matter. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Councilors? Looking for a motion to...
Motion to approve.
Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. See none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Moving on to, we've done communications, we've done budget and finance, we've completed our housing. We now have a string of documents out of the ordinance committee. So, Madam Chair of the Ordinance Committee, document 14115.
Document 14115, handicap parking at 208 Willow Street. That has been sent out with the favor recommendation to withdraw that item. And I make that as a formal motion, but I
Second.
also...
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. Councilor,
It's just to pass information about this specific item, just to be in the record. So this item has been approved since 2015. What happened was that the applicants reapplied because I believe is on Methuen line, and they placed the handicap in a pole. You're laughing. So they removed the handicap parking. So it's all set. They have to place a pole, and it's all set. So that is why this item, and I just want to clarify just in case, because that is an ordinance that has been in place since 2015. Yep.
all right, there's a motion that's been properly made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? This was a motion to withdraw.
Oh, yep.
Seeing no further discussion on this matter, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Madam Chair,
20919, handicap parking at 16 Portland Street. It has been sent out with a favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made. Seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 290.
290, request for ordinance creating position safety manager in DPW, and has been sent out with the favor recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. Discussion. Before I call the question.
Point of clarification.
Thank you.
Council
Go ahead.
President, well, I don't know, Council President, okay. We'll be discussing the posting further during the Personnel Committee report. So if you want to wait for that, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Council Infante.
Now that we're talking about these, I actually
Okay. Motion's been made, it's been properly seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Madam Chair, document 268.
268, stop sign Boswood Street, corner of Arlington Street. It has been sent out with a favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made, is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion?
Discussion?
Councilor Del Rosario.
Thank you, Council President. I would suggest for this item, I was talking to Councilor Reyes, which was the queen of this. This item should be withdrawn due to the fact that the one-way project will change the direction on the streets on the one-way, so that stop sign won't be needed at that corner.
So are you wishing to offer, do you wish to withdraw your motion? And you wish to offer a motion to withdraw? So the motion by the Vice President is withdraw a motion, I'm sorry, to withdraw her motion. Now the motion to withdraw the item is made by Councilor Selena Reyes. Is there a seconded by Councilor Del Rosario? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 268 is withdrawn. The next document, document 303.
Similar to document 30322, one-way Boswood Street. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw the item.
Second.
Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 377.
Amendment of section of the Lawrence zoning ordinance for District 1-4, Planning Industrial. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing.
Motion, is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 401.
199 through 229 Broadwood loading zone at Bradford Street. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made, is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 402.
Wait, so it is 199 through 29 Broadwood loading zone at Concord Street. It also has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made, seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes. Discussion. Councilor Rodriguez.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to withdraw Concord Street and to actually put the right name, which is Isabel Melendez Street.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Isabel Melendez, yeah. Okay. That's 402, yes. Wow, yeah.
So, that's right. So, Melendez Street. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next one's for us.
407 Poplar Street, resident parking only. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
40822 National Grid, Marston Street, install one JO pole for 4642 through 50. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document, Councilor.
1623, 1 hour parking, 2 space at 264 to 266 on Lowell Street. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 38.
No parking here to the corner, Prospect Street, corner to Prospect Court. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw.
Motion made. Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 39.
Stop sign facing Prospect Court also has been sent out with a favorable recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Counselor?
Yes.
What do you want?
So it's a T section. Yes, you're right. And we're not supposed to place a stop sign when it's a T section because common sense, you're supposed to stop. But, but let me answer your question because, yeah, it's a one-way street. And then even though, believe it or not, people supposed to stop. I having the same issue at Irving and Jackson Street. I tried to make a stop sign because one is coming, but it's two-way. So people supposed to stop on Irving before you go inching out to Jackson Street. So hopefully no accident is being happened. I tried to explain, Councilor Levy, there was a T section, but it's a great need in the area because people flights.
No, my question is not even around that.
Okay.
It's more like, what is the other street names? So people can know.
Prospect Street
In Prospect Court.
and Prospect Court.
Prospect Court.
Yes, Prospect Court is very narrow street. It look like an alleyway, but it's a street.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is like on the item, we're not included.
Yeah.
On the item, we don't have Prospect Street. That's why I was wondering. It's a stop sign facing Prospect Court, Councilor Levy. So, and then I was wondering about the other street. All right, so, just a point of clarification, a point of information. All right, can we fix the item, that's all. And just a point of information on there, when it comes to the intersection. According to the MUTCD, which is the federal regulation for stop sign or any other sign, we are supposed to have a traffic control on all of the intersections. Because we're not driving for people, people on that street not necessarily know the area. I mean, people from other places not necessarily know the area, and we as a city are supposed to provide with the proper signage. So when whoever told you, you gotta use common sense, traffic situations is not about common sense, it's about providing the proper signage. So that's been around, like, oh, you gotta use common sense, but I mean, it's not, according to the feds and the MUTCD, it's not. We gotta just put the signs on it.
Thank you for the clarification, because that's what I thought. We're supposed to use common sense because it's a T section. And I remember back on 2013, I was trying to get a stop sign on Irving and Jackson Street. Back then, Officer Scanlon, and you were part of, when we used to be an ordinance, serving an ordinance together, he used to say, T section, it have to be common sense. But you're right. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah?
Are we all set on this vote? Did we? We're gonna move on then to 5723, resident parking only. Alden Court, 57.
Resident parking only in Alder Court, Monday through Sundays from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It has been sent out with the favorable recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made. Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 58.
Loading zone school bus drop-off and pick-up Garden Street, Esperanza Academy from September through June, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. through 8 a.m. and 2:30 through 5:30. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 59.
Lawrence Zone School Bus Drop-Off and Pickup, Garden Street, Northside, Masonic Hall, Esperanza Academy, September through June, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. through 8 a.m. and 2:30 through 5:30. It also has been sent out with favor recommendation to order public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 93.
Reliable LLC, renewal of taxi livery license. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Infante. Discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 9423.
Town Livery Inc., renewal of taxi livery license. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion's been made and seconded by Counselor Russell. Discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 95.
Bosworth Street, one-way from Arlington Tour to Stern, continue to Alder Street. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw.
Motion made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Infante. Discussion? See none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is document number 9623. Madam Chair of the Ordinance Committee, would you please give the committee report?
Sorry. Hemlock Street, one-way from Batswood Street to Lawrence Street. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw.
Motion made. Seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 97.
South Side and Alder Street, no parking anytime from Lawrence Street to Spruce Street. Parking allowed on North Side, Alder Street. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to withdraw.
Second. Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Counselor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Document 98.
Sunset Street, one-way from Methuen Line to Lawrence Street, has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw.
Motion made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Infante. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 99.
Stern Ave from Batswood Street to Methuen Line. It has been sent out with favor recommendation to withdraw.
Motion made. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next document is 110. Motion made by the Vice President, seconded by Counselor Levy. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 113.
Out with the favor recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made, seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
112.
I'm sorry?
You missed a 112.
We did one earlier, but thank you, Counselor. That's, just keep me on my toes. It's a good idea. Document 114 is next.
And I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Last one, Counselor.
recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Russell. Discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have 2 items left, I believe, on the Personnel Committee. Madam Vice Chair? Are you Madam Chair or Vice Chair? Go ahead.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. Please keep me posted if there's any title changes. Thank you.
Item 290-21, request for ordinance creating position of safety manager in the Department of Public Works, sponsored by Gina LaGreca, Personnel Director, was sent up by the Personnel Committee with a favorable recommendation, and I make that as a motion, as a formal motion.
Second.
Motion made, and there's a second by the Vice President. Discussion.
Discussion.
All right, discussion.
Thank you. I do want to add, during our discussion, I asked Director LaGreca to send information on how many, so this whole position is about safety, and I asked her to send information on how many employees we have out on workers' comp and how many we have right now, active injury reports as of Wednesday, and she did state that the numbers increase weekly. As of last Wednesday, we have 5 active employees fully out of work on workers' comp and 15 injury reports pending approval or denial. So you can see that there is a need for this position in our DPW. That's
Very good. Any further discussion on this matter? Councilor Russell?
I think that Councilor Rodriguez and myself have both seen enough accidents on construction sites to realize that there does have to be an affirmative safety action program. Common sense with driving, along with driving, just doesn't make it around construction. So I'm all for this.
Any further discussion? See none, I'll call. Did you wish to speak, Councilor Rodriguez?
Did
Councilor
you,
Rodriguez.
is the Personnel Committee discuss the salary at all?
Yes, she did. It's a grade E. I don't know if my colleagues remember. She did mention the new salary range from the Collins, 64. I don't know, does anyone have the Collins report?
It's in your packages under document 46, because it came up with the issue for the energy supervisor person, they wanted to have it reconsidered. So, under old business, okay, it should be in the document 46, but it's something that it's involved in.
Yes, just for the record. Grade E is $87,360.
At the lower. She also explained that, and at that Personnel Committee.
So, in my understanding, the range is from 64 to 87, is that the range?
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Last document, 8723, Madam Vice Chair.
Personnel Committee.
I was still looking at the salary grade. Item 8723 was the appointment of Jose Baez, DO, to the Board of Health, and the Personnel Committee sent this up with a favorable recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion.
Second.
Made and properly second discussion. Did Mr. Baez show up to the Personnel Committee meeting?
He did,
Okay.
yes.
Discussion on the matter?
Through you, Council President. Can you share with us a little bit of what are his interests of serving in the Board of Health?
Yep, so his interest, he's been involved with the community for many years. He does have an extensive health and medical background. I'm just gonna pull it up real quick, just give me a second. So Mr. Baez, I mean, he has an education from Harvard Medical School. I can't really read, but Rutgers, which is another amazing medicine program. He currently, I believe he has his own practice, no. He has his own practice, right? So he does have his own practice, and like I said, he has been involved in the community through local events, specifically, well, majority the health fairs. So he's just looking for another way to further engage with our community.
Thank you so much.
Any further discussion on this matter? I've got a question. This gentleman lives in North Andover. Was that brought up in the discussions at all? But I believe our ordinances require individuals to live in the city of Lawrence, except for maybe a couple of instances like GLSD and the airport, for example. Was
That was not brought up, no.
I don't think it is. For the board, to serve in the committee?
Correct. So our ordinance is, because right now there is apparently some movement to move people off of committees who are not from the city, and his application has North Andover on there. I could maybe find that ordinance fairly quickly, but.
Can you please? Because this is the first I'm hearing about this, so.
Why don't we do this? Can we table this for now, go through some other stuff, and maybe we can get to that before the end of the evening?
Yep.
Okay. So is there a motion to table this
Motion to
item?
table.
Motion has been made by Councilor Infante, seconded by the Vice President. Discussion? No discussion on table matters, I'm sorry. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're tabling it for now. Get back to it. That was it. So, under old business, is there anything else that anybody wishes to take off of the old business? If we're not, I'll move over to, okay.
For 11/22? So it's not what we're gonna, yeah. So my preference is that I believe that we are gonna be drafting or sign a plan on dividing the items in multiples items, like A, B, C, D. So depends the item that they're gonna be taking. I know that Councilor Rodriguez has all that information. Can you provide that information that we have?
Through you, Council President.
So the document right now is document 4/11/22.
We already voted on it. Let's discuss it.
So we want to discuss 4/11/22. Is there a motion that needs to be underlined? We already passed this. So I don't know what the motion is at this point.
May I?
To divide the document in like multiple,
All right, may I?
Sure. For what reason do you rise?
Sure. During our last discussion, last meeting, we brought up another item under a new item under another number, and we decided to go back on this 4/11/22 item to subdivide onto 25 different places for the new 25 different projects. The reason why it's in all business right now is because for us to accomplish that, we have to have 25 different items and have it on record. So when the mayor's office decide to send one item for any particular project, let's say that is 4/11/22-X. Okay, we know that that item is that, and we put it on the old business. We don't have to deal with that sending document to committee, or perhaps coming up with suspending the rules and be able to discuss it at the full council. So that was the purpose on last meeting, and you actually agree. Yeah, so I guess that we need to make a motion to subdivide with the different letters.
I don't know if we need to, so what we can do to make this super simple is when the administration sends down to us their next item, when the clerk receives it, she's going to look at it and give it 4, whatever the next one is, B, and then C, and then D. Depending on the order that it comes in, I have no idea what the order is. So whatever the first next one that comes out, she got there.
No, I just want to find that Mason, I think you both saying very similar things. Sorry, I think you're both saying very similar things. I think rather than try to pre-assign the letter, to wait to see what they send out next to assign the letter, just will keep it easier for us, because whatever comes down next will be B, then C, then E, versus if we assign them all based on what was in that first document, and X comes down first, or Z, like, just will be so hard to follow. So I think it makes sense to wait to see what they send down, and then, but I love the idea of assigning each one a letter, because we'll know it relates back to 411, and then they'll each also be very distinguishable. I think that's.
It is important to recognize that if we do that, and not making some type of motion of splitting it on record, that means that we're receiving a new document based on the parliamentary procedures. So, and that could be questioned. That's why I brought it up in a way that we have it on record, we have the items assigned already, but with a motion that was taken and authorized, and then once that come up, we already have an item assigned. And it's not like, you know, if somebody decide to question it, it's already there. So it's not question asked. Just to make it easy for any type of, and plus those are, you know, it's money. So it's not like a stop sign or anything like that, you know. But I do whatever. It's the sentence to me.
So I think we'll do it as the clerk, because part of it's easy as well, trying to get it through. And I think what we're going to do, just as we mentioned to Mr. Spanner during that evening, is that we will take a vote on it this evening, because we understand, I think collectively, how important it is to get this money out on the street to provide what it is. So I appreciate the effort. Is there anything else under old business? Yes. Councilor Rodriguez.
The item 3623, 3723, 4020, give me 1 minute, 3723, 3623, 4523, 4623, and 4823. I don't think that we actually discussed those postings at the personal committee or at the full council level, so I believe that those should be sent for the posting discussions to the personal committee.
So clerk, help us understand what is going on with these items. These items were introduced to us. I don't remember when they were introduced, as recently as the last meeting, perhaps. And then we approved all these 36. These are all approved items. Sure.
Those were ordinance approved, but not postings discussed or approved. And like we just did with the safety position, we just discussed the ordinance through the ordinance committee, and then we pass it over to the personal committee, and also discussed the posting. And both were approved. Different than these items. Those items, we did not have an ordinance for it. We approved the ordinance, but we never discussed the posting. So I think that the discussion of the posting need to be had.
So I see where you're heading. So just so I'm clear, and help me, and I'm so sorry, it's starting to get late, and we're starting to focus in a little bit. So we've already adopted the ordinances on all of these items. So we've already passed the ordinances on here. And so we put them back on the agenda because, as I understand it, there is a question regarding the postings. Somebody would like to have more clarity to the job postings. Is that what, or at least the council to continue or focus on the postings?
No, clarity is that we don't have any discussion on the posting at all. It was never sent to the personnel committee.
Okay, so we're all clear on this, and certainly we will do whatever this body wants to do. So if this body wants to send this down to which committee were you thinking about sending it to? Ordinance committee or personnel?
No. I mean, let's be consistent. Every time that
Ordinance.
we actually have a posting, an ordinance for a position, you send as a president to the ordinance like we just did with the safety officer position.
That's right.
Which you send it to ordinance, you already did. And, I mean, that's to be consistent. I mean, obviously, I wanted to discuss the postings on those positions because since we were discussing the ordinance, I have questions on the posting, but we didn't engage on those conversations.
So what, and then I want to see you in a second. You're next.
There was two, document number 46-23, I thought they were coming tonight. I thought either Ms. LaGreca or the gentleman Anil, they asked to have that put on the agenda because they wanted to ask to review the salary. That's why the Collins report was in your packages, because of that item. So if you're sending them down to person, I was just gonna ask if that one item, if you just leave that at old business or table it.
Number 46, you saw?
46-23, I was gonna request it. Yeah, you can send it. That one only because they're specifically asking about it. If you wouldn't mind either leaving it here or, video might be back up again, so that would.
To be honest with you, we can definitely have the discussion at this level, just inviting Greco here instead of sending it to personnel.
Yeah.
I mean, but we can have Greco to come over to discuss those items at this level. We don't have to send it to personnel. I mean,
Yep.
let's just send then.
I promised Councilor Infante, and I got a few questions, Councilor Infante.
Thank you, Council President. Looking for clarification, I was under the impression these these positions that the ordinance committee reviewed, I believe all but like one or two, they've been positions. The only thing is that they didn't have an ordinance attached to it. So I don't see a need for it to go to personnel.
Okay.
So is that what was happening, that these positions have been in place for years and years and years, but just did not have an ordinance with it?
So no, well, I think these are newly I mean, they're each different. We see the chief of staff position, let's go through them. There is this thing, there's people that have been filling this position called chief of staff, but it's never been ordinance. So what the administration decided to do is to keep things consistent. If we're gonna have this thing called a chief of staff, let's have an ordinance called the chief of staff position. So they put that in there to have our books reflect reality. So that's the first one. Second one is the airport manager, same thing. We've had an airport manager, but we've never had an ordinance for the airport manager. So now we've corrected the chief of staff and the airport manager. The CAFO position, again, I think that's the same thing. By law, we're required to have a CAFO. We have a CAFO, but we don't have a CAFO ordinance in the books. So now we are, with this, we have a CAFO position in the books. The next one is 46, the supervisor of energy projects. That's a new one. We don't have such an animal. So we're creating a new position on that one. And the last one is the modification for program coordinator for economic development. I believe that is, I'm gonna need some help on this, but my understanding that is a new position. They do have an economic development position in the mayor's office, but this seems to be a different animal. That's my understanding.
Okay.
You got the floor still. and
Thank
I'll go
you.
to you next.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, so yeah, back to my point, at least for the first couple, I don't see a need for a position that's not being filled to be brought down to personnel, but regardless of what we decide tonight moving forward, if it is a new position, to discuss the posting, it should always be sent to personnel as well.
So I do want to comment real quick, is that it's traditionally, and I'm going to go to Council Vice President next, traditionally, our job has been to do the ordinance, the public hearing in the ordinance. Our job traditionally, and I don't know what has happened, I think there's been, in an effort to give more information to the council with the job posting, that has traditionally and typically been under the jurisdiction of the administration. Because they can make it tougher than what's inside the ordinance, but they can't make it less. So they, for example, if we ask for a master's degree, they can't go back in the job posting and say a bachelor's degree. It's got to be at least a master's degree or maybe something higher, like a doctorate or something, right? So as we go through this process as a group, I just want us all to remember that this is extra. We can, of course, deal with the job posting. Unfortunately, there was some ambiguity last time, which caused some confusion, because we saw some things that didn't quite match, and then all of a sudden our radar is coming up and saying, hey, this doesn't look right, this doesn't seem right, and there was whatever. There was some confusion what was sent down to us. So if we are really going to go down this route, we're going down a new route. And we can do that if we want to, but that's an addition, that's beyond what our typical scope is. So I promise Councilor, Vice President to speak.
Thank you. That basically, I'm just gonna second that information that you was just passing. I recorded and I remembered that Director LaGreca was saying that after we passed the ordinance and went through the personnel committee, she is good to go just to make the posting, which we can request any additional information for us just to review, either to talk to her and say, listen, I think we should stop, or we can require whatever we decided to do. But I don't think it, we have to send all this position to stay here and delay the process for them to post it, whatever they're supposed to be doing.
Council President. Motion to pass 10 o'clock.
There's a motion to go past. Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Through you, Council President, I have the item, the item 3623 in front of me. The package that was sent to us was the proposed ordinance. The package that was sent to us, it was the proposed ordinance, which do not speak at all on the education portion of it, even though this is not a great example of it, because chief of staff could be anybody that the mayor decide to. But on this sample, we never talk about education. Or let me go to the next position, which is basically a better one to explain, 3723. So 2733, on this position, we have the ordinance, we have the position establishment, the power of duties, generally, the salary and benefits. But on the ordinance, we don't talk about we don't talk about the education piece of it and the requirements of the position. So, which basically, when we discuss the posting on personnel, that's when we go through those stuff, the details of the actual position. But on the ordinance itself, we do not discuss that stuff. And that's the reason why we send it over to personnel and discuss the posting at different at the different stages, because we covering, the basics on the ordinance plus what it take for the posting to be developed, including education and many other factors that are not there. And I'm going through this item and I look at it, and the first thing we get on the list of items that we get from the personnel department was an exhibit list. Exhibit A is the job description. Exhibit B is the proposed updated job description. And Exhibit D is the proposed ordinance. So we have in front of us to discuss Exhibit D that we covered that up on last meeting, but we never discussed Exhibit A, which is the job posting from 2005, And we never discussed the proposed updated job description for this posting, for this position. We're changing that position to reflect the new position that was sent to us on Exhibit B. So if we don't discuss that here, as established by what we're supposed to do, we're missing or just allowing whoever wanted to develop that posting with the ordinance, and the ordinance is not covering education requirements and any of that stuff. What I'm saying at this point, we don't have to send those items to personnel. But yes, we should discuss it, keep it as an old business, invite La Greca here and discuss the old posting and the new proposed posting and have it as part of the vote, so we can discuss the education piece of it and the requirements of those positions that is not being covered on the ordinance. So the chief of staff, those positions are not being established, and those positions are not going to change for now. But I'm not talking about 2-3 years from now. I'm talking about 10-12 years from now, that none of us are going to be here. But the fact that we didn't discuss the posting, anybody just can come up and say, look, there's not posting approved. Let's go with the easiest. Let's put my friend with no education whatsoever. 12 years from now, 13 years from now, 15 years from now, whatever. We need to do what we need to do. I mean, if this is in front of us. I'm not saying let's discuss it tonight. It's already 10 p.m. But let's keep it on the old business, invite La Greca here and discuss the posting on those positions, the old positions and the new positions, because she sent out those information and she's telling us what she have replaced and no posting from 2005 and the new posting to be replaced the old ones from 2005. I mean, if we wanted to give up to our duties, we can do that, but I mean, that's not the point. I'm not talking about today or tomorrow or 3 years from today. I'm talking about 12 years, 10 years from today. That we're fixing a problem, but we're not fixing the whole thing. If we're fixing a problem of not having this ordinance for years, now that we fix it, let's do the whole thing as she sent it over. She sent the information over.
Thank you, Counselor. So, well, like you said, we're probably not going to get to, it's getting late and the batteries are running a little lower, so we're probably not going to do it. So I'm just going to give you a citation of our ordinances that should guide us, I think, on this discussion. And that's in our Lawrence Code, document 2.04.040. The headline is Requirements of City Ordinance to Fill a Position. If you read that, which I did, I don't want to bore everybody here with more detail. It spells out what it is that the city council does with respect to an ordinance. So I would encourage you, the next time we have this conversation, if it's the next meeting, that we just be aware of what that is, and then we could have that discussion as to what do we do going forward. Councilors making some points, and we can make a decision as to how we want to proceed. So I appreciate that. So, sure, it's 2.04.040. It's entitled Requirements of City Ordinance to Fill a Position. And so there you go. And there may be some other stuff. I mean, this is me going through it within the last couple of minutes, quickly trying to find something, and I think that's it. There may be something else, but that's my first blush. All right, so on the old business, are we moving off of old business now? Okay. I do have, while I've got my book open, I do have the ordinance on the boards and commissions. It's document 2.04030. This one I will read to you. It's called an establishment of positions by ordinance. By the way, as I'm looking at this, look at zero. The other, we'll look at the. What's the other one? 0.0402.0. All members of boards, commissions, and authorities and committees of the city, whether appointed by the mayor or the city council, subsequent to this date, effective date, the ordinance codified in this section shall be residents of the city unless otherwise provided for in the general laws or this code, with the exception that no more than 3 members of the airport commission may be non-residents. So my question here is, based on the fact that this gentleman clearly is qualified and clearly has got a lot of experience, does he comport with our ordinance? It does not appear to me that he does. It does not. I don't know if there's an exception for the Board of Health. I do know that there's GLSD. I do know there's an airport, but I don't think we have that exception, I don't think, for the Board of Health. Yes, Madam Vice President. Call a residency requirement, not a business requirement, so I think the language would be for a resident. We could table it here without any harm. We can keep it tabled
Yep.
without any harm. Maybe talk to the city attorney.
Yeah,
Have him take a look at it and see maybe if we're reading this wrong, that's good to know, and we'll
yeah.
maybe adopt him. If we're not reading it wrong, then
Yep,
we have
so-
to deal with it.
Yep,
Table.
I would like to make a motion to keep it table. I don't know if I have to do that again, but also send correspondence to the city attorney, to take a further look into this.
I'll take that that would be in order. There's a motion to take a letter to the city attorney, asking him to review the Board of Health appointee and residency requirement. There's a motion to that effect. Is there a seconded by the Vice President? Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. New business. 12123.
Fraternal de Nagüero, in Lawrence Campanon Common on May 13. It has been put on the agenda by Dulce Isiano. Is going down to the.
Let's go down to the ordinance. I'll take it from there, from the ordinance committee.
Yeah. So in the next
121,
document, I would like to take it and treat it as an emergency, since
Okay.
there's not gonna
Oh,
be, we don't have enough time to go around, to go down to the committee. So, can we suspend the rule?
Counselor, are you looking to suspend Rule 11 for document 12223 and not send that down to the committee?
So move.
Motion made, is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Selena Reyes, discussion. See, now need a roll call vote. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Present.
Yes.
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 Yes, we have adopted to suspend the rules. This will not be going down to to any committee. We'll be hopefully dealing with this evening under an emergency clause, which is under our Lawrence City Charter 3. I got 3.8 of the charter. emergency measures. Measures. On the emergency measures, nothing so we're looking to suspend Rule 12 to allow us to have a vote this evening under an emergency measure. We need six affirmative votes. So under your motion, motion is to adopt Rule 12 as an emergency, this is an emergency measure under 12B, but properly, for property inconvenience. Motion's been made, seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. Discussion on the motion to declare this an emergency. Seeing no discussion, we need a roll call vote. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Present.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. President LaPlante?
Yes. We will now need a motion to adopt this evening. Is there a motion to adopt this matter this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilor Infante. Just to be on the safe side, let's call for a roll call vote. Please call the roll.
Council Infante?
Yes.
Yes.
Present.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 30th. New business, 123 Hawkers and Peddlers license. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 12423, appointment of Antonio Reynoso, Lawrence Planning Board, going to the Personnel Committee. Document number 12523, authorization to expend funds, $132,380 for the Committee or Commission of Transportation Infrastructure Enhancement Trust Funds. That's going to the Budget and Finance Committee. 12623, rezoning of 191 Parker Street from R3 to B1, put on by Councilors Selena Reyes and Mayor Brian A. DePena. I think that we should probably send that to two places, one to the Planning Board, which needs to have jurisdiction over it, and also to the Ordinance Committee. So two locations. Next is 12723, a land transfer from City of Lawrence to Bellevue Cemetery, Highgate Street. That is going to the Housing Committee. Document 12823, direct disposition of 8 Bradford Place is going to the Housing Committee. 13023, transfer of funds from capital reserve to new accounts for capital improvement related expenses of $1,218,833 going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 13123, 2 20-minute parking spaces at 71 East Havel Street, put on by Representative Estela Reyes. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. 13223, 20-minute parking space La Familia Market at 119 Jackson Street is going to the Ordinance Committee. 13323, loading zone 232 Bruce Street, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., put on by Council Vice President Estela Reyes. That is going to the Ordinance Committee. Document 13423, continuation of remote hybrid meetings per Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 on March 29th, 2023, put on by Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez. Councilor, I don't know what we're going to do with that. My suspicion or my recommendation, rather than sending it to a committee, is kind of do a straw poll here of colleagues as to how they want to deal with that. And that we can just, why send it to a committee? This is administrative, and we can just do it here. I don't know what we need to study, so.
Can we actually suspend Rule 11 and treat it here now?
Yeah, it's not really, we don't really need to do that. It's administrative. We can, I'll look for the clerk for some help here. I don't think we need to suspend any rules. We can just say we want to have hybrid or not have hybrid. I think we could do it as easily as that. The authority is given to us by the Commonwealth for us to make that decision.
All right. I would like to have the continue of the more hybrid public meetings.
So you want to continue, so that's the question. We're going to do a straw poll. I'm going to look for hands. So questions, could be two questions. I'm going to presume if you raise your hand for hybrid, you're not going to raise your hand for in-person, right? So if you, Councilor Rodriguez has asked the question, do we want to have, you want to continue with hybrid? Raise your hand. Hybrid, 1, 2, 3 on this side, 4, 5. I think that pretty much nails it. I'm just to be on the safe side. In person, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 5. That didn't work out so well. Councilor, you are literally on this case. You have which one? So the counselor is, I don't want him to put words in your mouth. What is, I'm going to look to Councilor Reyes. She can speak for herself. Councilor Reyes? Hybrid. Hybrid, we continue. There we go. All right, that solves that problem. We move on. Where are we? 135, no parking, Concord Street. That's going to the Ordinance Committee. Here, 136-23, proposed ordinance trespass tows from private property, That is going to the Ordinance Committee. The next one is a late file. We need to start off with a vote of 7 before we can take it. I can say Isabel. I think it's just that one stretch, right over there for that one stretch between Franklin and I think South Broadway, because there was no residents on there. I don't know what the other place is.
Specifically by the St. Mary parking lot?
You know something, if we find out that it is, we'll change it, but right now we'll leave it as it is. Yes, Councilor Russell?
Is it Concord Street, Isabel Melendez?
We're just talking about that. We're just talking, but that one strip, if it's beyond what I think it is, we'll add the name to this, but I think it's that one section. Next, back to 137, we need 7 votes for this.
135 is also a late file.
135, my apologies, thank you for, why didn't 130? That's weird. 135, before we can go anywhere on 135, and now see you, thank you, clerk. Is there a motion to put this on as a late file?
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Did I hear anything besides yeses? The ayes have it. Unanimous, there's 9. Next. Did we do 136? That was not a late file? Okay. 137. 137-23. This is a late file prohibiting obstructions of sidewalks. I need a motion to include this. Is there a motion to include this as a late file?
So moved.
Motion made by Council Vice President, seconded by Councilor Russell, I think. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Not hearing any noes, the ayes have it. Next, so that's going to the Ordinance Committee. And 135 is going to the Ordinance Committee. Last one is 138. This is also a late file. It's collaboration with GLTS and the City of Lawrence regarding the aviation program and the purchase of a hangar. I'm looking for a motion to accept this, to put this on as a late file.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Infante. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Not hearing any noes, the motion is placed on the agenda. That item is going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Before I look for board, scheduling, on
Ordinance next
May 3rd, I meant to say this during the canal discussion, on May 3rd at the library, there is going to be a meeting dealing, we are going to be, when I say we, whoever's in attendance, will be receiving a presentation from students from Endicott College who are providing for the city their work on the canals, in utilization of the canals, some ideas to think about, some possibilities. The following week, they're submitting their proposal in Washington DC. And since this is very timely for all of us to try to figure out what possibilities are out there, they will be there. I will be posting this as a public hearing, not a public hearing, as a public notice, so all of us can go. It'll be posted for anybody to go, and we can certainly ask questions, but it really is going to be a presentation by the students, and we certainly can ask questions.
Council President,
Yes, ma'am.
can we get a calendar invite for this?
Counselor, yes.
My life revolves around my calendar.
I will endeavor to do that. Now we can go on with, it's gonna be 7 o'clock, library, May 3rd, the day after our next full city council meeting. All right, ordinance.
Next Tuesday at 7.
How many hats are you wearing, Counselor Rodriguez?
We have housing, 2 items, I believe. We can do Monday at 6, and then budget and finance, we can do at 7, if the members are available.
Are you still the housing chair? Okay.
Housing at 6 and budget and finance at 7.
Is everybody hear that? Especially you, Teresa? 6 and 7, all right? Housing, budget finance we did?
Let's go back. Housing 6:30, because we only have 2 items. 6:30? 6:30 and then the following 7.
6:30 housing, 7 o'clock budget. So we have budget, ordinance, we do have personnel.
No, Tuesday at 6:30.
6:30. Is that it? Is there public safety? Is there anything else going on? I will say that thanks to the Public Safety Committee, I'm looking right at you, we're having some sort of tour, right, on May 1st at the Lawrence High School. So I expect to be there, and I think that'd be a good opportunity to get a better handle of what's happening there. So. You have it. Nothing else, if there's no further items, I will now look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Councilor Infante. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Del Rosario. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.